Hi everyone, it's Andrea from Framley Vacay, and I just got back from a cruise on Princess Cruise Line, which was the first cruise I've ever been on with my family. And we went with my family, which is me, my husband, my two kids who are 14 and 11. We went with my parents, who are my dad's 90, and my mom is in her 70s, and then my in-laws who are both in their 70s. So this was a multi-generational cruise, and I just wanted to come on here and tell you what I liked, what I loved, and what I loathed about Princess Cruise Lines as a first-time Princess cruiser.
Okay, let's go.
First impressions. We were on the Enchanted Princess, which is one of the royal class in the Princess Cruise Line, which is one of their bigger, newer ships. It was built in, it started sailing in 2021 post-pandemic. So it is a relatively new ship, and it's beautiful inside. The atrium is this beautiful 3-story atrium. Everything is clean. Everything is very well maintained. There were a couple places as far as like some of the swimming pools that like the Infinity Edge, which I'd heard on a couple of other bloggers where it was kind of just frosted and it didn't give that Infinity Edge look to it. So, but it's a beautiful ship. It has a capacity of 3,660 people, and there are 19 decks, which honestly it's more like 18 decks because that 19th deck is basically just the little mini golf course, which is not really a mini golf course, just like a putting green basically. One was the specialty dining. I really liked the different options of specialty dining. We normally don't do a ton of specialty dining at any extra costs on our cruises. So it was really cool to see the different venues and get to experience some of that specialty dining, especially as a first-time cruiser on Princess. And if you are getting one of their packages, which I'll talk about in a little bit, the Premier and the Plus, you do get some of that specialty dining included. So it is nice to be able to try that. What I really liked was we went to Gigi's Pizzeria, and the pizzas were great. My husband and I each ordered one. They had a really interesting pizza. It was delicious. And they had probably the best tiramisu I've ever had. It came in little jars, and it was just so good. It was probably one of the best desserts we had on the ship. We also tried, they have Ocean Terrace Sushi, which we also did try one time. They do more if you're going to use it as part of your packages in the Premier or the Plus. They have like a prefix menu, which it was okay. The sushi was of good quality. It's just my husband and I really love sushi, and so do my kids. And my kids ended up piecing out and not wanting to stay there to eat because there wasn't really the same kind of selection as you would go to like a sushi restaurant and get like some interesting rolls and things like that. So it was okay. I mean, I enjoyed the food that I had there. It's in a very small area. It's almost like there's the sushi bar and then just some seating around it, so it feels very kind of exposed because you have a whole bunch of people just kind of like walking by all around you, and it feels almost more like a bar rather than like a restaurant, which I mean is great if you're just kind of going to grab something to eat. But that being said, it can also feel very cramped in there, and there's not a lot of seating availability, so you just have to kind of go when you don't see a ton of people there. We also tried the Crown Grill. And we did that on, as kind of a send off on our last night of the cruise. We went, and I will say the service there was impeccable. We actually, our server's name was Prince, and which I thought was hilarious because we were at the Crown Grill. But he was fabulous, and the food there was very well prepared, very good. My husband really liked, they had an interesting selection of different kinds of salts that you could have with your steak. My filet was done really well. They cooked everything to order and perfectly, so nothing was overdone. They had some really interesting desserts there as well. They had a salted caramel cheesecake, which was really good. And then we also had, I believe it was like a kind of like almost like a cobbler type dish that everybody really ended up enjoying. And then there was also a triple chocolate treasure. It was very rich. So, but if you like chocolate, that definitely is one to try. Another thing that we liked, and actually that my kids really enjoyed, was the kids club / teen area. So they actually both really enjoyed going and went several times over the cruise. And I think the reason they enjoyed it was because Princess is not known to have kind of all the bells and whistles and kids activities that other more mainstream mass market cruise lines like Carnival, Norwegian, and Royal Caribbean have. So there's not quite as many kids on the ship, but their kids club is quite impressive. They had a ton of things to do. It was rather large. My kids love the fact that they could go in and play Minecraft, and they had tournaments there. They had a skee ball tournament. They had air hockey tables. They just really enjoyed that it wasn't quite as structured as some of the other kids clubs that they've been to in the past. And they had sign-in, sign-out privileges. My younger one had sign-in, sign-out privileges. And then my older son would just go in there every once in a while, see who was there, play, some games, air hockey, skee ball, play some video games. So they actually really enjoyed going, and they would ask to go. Where sometimes it was not that way on certain other ships, and they felt a little overwhelmed by the amount of kids in those other kids clubs. We also liked the activities and the shows. There were a lot of trivia and a lot of interesting games going on that were really fun. The entertainment activities staff was really quite fun. They had great senses of humor, and they were always enjoyable to watch, and really had, got the audience engaged in a lot of what was going on. So we really did like that. What was kind of hard is that some of those venues where they had the games, mainly one of them was Princess Live, and then the other theater behind it, sometimes those venues were a little small. So if you weren't there 20, 30 minutes ahead of time, you would not be getting a seat, and you'd be kind of standing around. So if there is something that you really want to go see, you really had to get there early and kind of stake your claim. And a lot of times they had stuff running right after each other. So if you weren't there for kind of like the first major one, you had a hard time finding a seat, or you just have to wait and see if people got up and left and went to a different show. So as far as entertainment, they had some great shows. They had a show called She Will Rock You, and the entertainer who was performing, she was amazing. She performed different rock songs from different eras, and it was a great show. Really entertaining, got the audience involved. They also had a show called, the production show was called Spotlight Bar. And while it was extremely entertaining, the dancers were very good, the music was good, we all kind of looked at each other after the production and were like, was there supposed to be like a plot to this show? Like, it was a whole bunch of different vignettes, and it was interesting and fun, but I don't know if it was supposed to have a plot. I guess it really didn't need one. But if you're looking for something with like a storyline that you can follow, there really isn't one on the Enchanted Princess. It just was not there. But I mean, entertaining nonetheless. They also had, and we did not get to see this person. This was when we were in Puerto Rico all day, but apparently there was a trombone player who played and he was phenomenal. And my son, who also plays the trombone, just said it was really cool to see. So I will say, the Princess had some pretty good entertainment. It was great to see live entertainers around the ship too. At every bar, venue, they had live entertainment. So if you wanted to enjoy that, you could just go and find something that suited your style, whether you wanted to go to the Irish pub and hear some like Irish pub music, or if you wanted to hear a piano bar, they had all of that available. So it was great to have all that live music going on in the ship. So compared to other cruises we've been on, the entertainment was good. It wasn't anything that was truly groundbreaking or phenomenal. Like on Royal Caribbean, you have, and the bigger ships, you have the big production stage shows, the Broadway full production shows, and Norwegian has some really good shows and entertainment. So that wasn't there, but I mean, it was a fun thing to do at night, and I didn't regret seeing any of them, or didn't feel like they were too cheesy, or some of the shows that I've seen on Carnival can get a little cheesy, and but I will say the talent of the entertainers was there. Sometimes it just didn't hit quite right with the production value with some of the shows. The main dining. Now, I thought the food in the main dining room is much better than, say, Royal Caribbean or Carnival, and even probably Norwegian. I feel like they had better main dining room food. The presentation was always lovely. The service was good. The quality of the food in the main dining room was always very good. There were a couple hits and miss, extreme hits and some misses that, but that's to be expected with any dining room experience. Princess had recently changed how they did their main dining room. So when we had first booked this cruise, it was basically all my time dining, and we couldn't really pick anything. And then right before our cruise in July, I think they changed over. We cruised in August. They switched over to, you could choose my time, you could choose a set time, like an early or a late. And we found that it kind of, since we didn't have that, or you could like make reservations, and we did not kind of know that going in. So the first few times was a little confusing. We always got seated somewhere, but sometimes it could be a little chaotic. Like if you wanted to go eat at one of the dining rooms and they were like, we're full, we don't have anything. So somebody would go run up to the other dining room and they could get us in. We did end up kind of getting the same table over and over again at one of the dining rooms that we really liked, and we had a great staff there who took really good care of us. The dining room experience, I feel like, can always be a little bit slow, but they were cognizant of if we wanted to go see a show that started at 7:15, we wanted to go, get there, they would try and get our stuff out. And they were always real quick to help refill the wines or give us another drink. So overall, it was a good experience. I think the confusion and the my time dining, I actually prefer to just have a set dining time because I like seeing the same staff over and over again. But also, it did give us a chance if we couldn't eat with our whole group. My husband and I went and tried one of the other dining rooms just to kind of see that atmosphere, because they do have 3 different dining rooms, and sat at a table for 2. So it was nice to have that option as well. and you didn't have to go and do your set dining time. So it did give us a little bit more flexibility, but I think next time it would just, we'll be a little better prepared for that experience. We also really liked the buffet. The buffet the food was good overall. I mean, I feel like when you go into a buffet, you have to manage your expectations. They did have a good variety of different foods there, and we really enjoyed popping up there to get something to eat. I will say sometimes it could be a little hard to find seating in that area, so you'd kind of wander around a lot. Sometimes in certain areas where you sat, you had to kind of go a distance to get food, and I didn't even notice the omelet station until like the last 2 days of the cruise, and it was because it was all the way further in the back, and there was only one omelet station. So but the food overall I think was pretty tasty, and there was something there to please every palate. So one of the things I absolutely loved that Princess does just amazingly well are the medallions. Now, I have misplaced my medallion because coming home and unpacking, I threw it somewhere, so I'm sure I'll find it after this video. But the medallions are basically instead of using your key card, you get these medallions, and they're wearable. So they give you we got a lanyard with ours, so you could wear it around your neck and use that to open your door and to pay for things and find people on the ship. It was just so convenient. I had a little wearable. It slipped right onto my watch band. So if you have, an iWatch or some sort of fitness watch, I got an attachment to it that I got on Amazon. My husband he doesn't like to wear a watch when he's on vacation, so he had one that would just clip onto his belt loop. And my kids had like the AirTag Apple Watch kind of things. So it was like they just use it on their wrists and wore that. It was waterproof, so they didn't have to worry about going to the pool. It stayed on. It was great. I loved being able to just walk to my door and not even have to fiddle around with a key, and it was already unlocked. All I had to do was turn the handle and go on in. And you also didn't have to sign slips of paper for every little drink or anything. Sometimes they didn't even, you just walked up and they already knew who you were and said they took care of you, and you just walked away. It was great. It was so convenient. It's one of those little things where you don't realize what a pain in the butt the other way is until you've experienced something better. It was just fantastic. The ability to find people in the app all over the ship was just so nice, to not have to text people or try and call them and find them some other way. You could just kind of, oh, they're over here, let's go check this out, and let's go grab something to eat on the way, or oh, they're in the dining room, oh, they're here. It was just so nice and so convenient, and it worked great on the ship. Sometimes it was a little laggy with where you were on the ship, so by the time you got down there, somebody may have moved, but overall it was just such a nice thing. And I don't understand why more cruise lines don't do this, just for the slips of paper that you don't have to sign alone. Talk about helping to save on waste. But those were amazing. We also loved the Princess packages. So my parents and my husband's parents, my in-laws, had the Plus package. And I think for 80% of the people, the Plus package is the way to go. It includes, your drinks up to $15. It includes your gratuities. It includes Wi-Fi for one device, which is great. Sometimes I know we like to kind of disconnect a little bit, but it is nice if you need to check your email or, post something on Facebook or get a hold of somebody at home and email them. And it also includes, on the plus side, it includes 2 casualty specialty dining included in your cruise. So you can try those really good specialty dining options, which was great. We elected to, my family and my husband and I elected to upgrade to the Premier because it included all the pictures, and we knew we wanted to get some group pictures of us with the grandparents and everything. And we just like to have we knew we were going to get those. So it included 3 prints and then all the digital pictures. So we were taking pictures off the boat, on the boat, when they have the welcome to St. Thomas, welcome to Puerto Rico. We were taking those pictures too, which normally we just kind of pass by and we don't necessarily buy. But that was a great value for that. And we also like a good glass of wine, and Princess has a much better wine list than Norwegian, than Carnival, than Royal Caribbean. Their wine list can be a little bit lacking, especially like in the main dining room and their dining areas. So they had some great selections of wine, Silverado red wine at dinner, which is what I was drinking a lot. And I think it was like $17 a glass. So it was right above that Premier, but or the plus threshold. But I mean, if you're on the plus and you want to upgrade your wine a little bit, you just pay the difference. But it was just great not to have to think about any of that. You also got the desserts, which honestly we had once, because I thought once was enough. These desserts were so crazy large. You were supposed to get like 2 a day, and I don't know how anybody could stomach more than like 2 a cruise. I mean, they're big, and I mean, it was good to get. The gelato was tasty, but I don't know how anyone could eat that mass amount every day. I'm sure there are people, but I'm just not one of them. We also loved the International Cafe. The International Cafe was in the Piazza area, like more the lobby area, and that was where you could get, some quick bites. They had one of our favorite things to get were pizza muffins. So basically just little pizza dough in like a small muffin form that had mozzarella cheese and some marinara, and I think usually it was like a little bit of pepperoni or just cheese, and they were delicious. Or you could get little quiches, you could get just little quick bites, you could get breakfast sandwiches in the morning if you didn't want to go to the buffet, and that was a really nice option to have. You could also get your coffees there. I will tell you, if you don't want to wait in that long line, don't get coffee at the International Cafe. Go to either the buffet and grab your coffee there in the dessert area, or there's a couple other locations around the ship, and there's actually a sign that I took a picture of so I would know where those locations were. Princess Live was one of them, and you could get your coffee there, and usually there was no line. So if you need your iced coffee or your coffee drinks or your specialty coffees, that's the way to go. Also loved, and when I say we, actually I mean my kids love this aspect. They loved getting the room service, and with Princess Premier and with Princess Plus, you get room service included, and that's not just like your continental breakfast. You could order whenever you want, whatever you wanted. So my kids took full advantage of that. We would come back sometimes and they'd be sitting on the balcony just with a couple of fancy drinks and a plate of fries or some fruit or, chicken tenders. So they really, really loved that. The food, was okay on the menu, but they loved the convenience of being able to just go back to the room and have something there to eat. So they thought it was more of a novelty than anything. We also really, really loved the rooms. We decided, and I highly recommend this if you have to go 4 people to a room, we upgraded to a mini suite. So Princess was having a deal at the time where 3rd and 4th guests were free, and it just worked out better. Instead of getting adjoining rooms or to get more space, to upgrade to a mini suite. So a mini suite, you don't get all the same perks and benefits that you would of like a full suite, but you do get more space. And the mini suite definitely gave us enough space where we didn't feel like we were on top of each other. The rooms were super well appointed. Usually I have like my magnets that I stick up on the wall with the hooks so that I can, put things around the room. I didn't have to do that. Everything, there was enough space. We didn't have clothes strewn around everywhere, because if you've ever traveled anywhere with teenage boys, you know that the room can get to be a mess in an instant. So the room was fantastic. We had a full bathroom with a bathtub and plenty of space to maneuver and walk around and actually take a shower. The downside to the mini suite was the balcony was a little bit smaller. So while there was still enough room for 2 people, if we all tried to go out there at once, it did get a little bit cramped. But I will say thumbs up to that room. I did get to see the normal balcony rooms, and they were also, it was really nice. They had kind of a little area, more almost like a walk-in closet area, which I felt was so much of a better way to have it, where you weren't just standing in a hallway trying to get to your closet as you were in some of the other ships. So 2 thumbs up for the rooms on Princess. They were great. Some of my favorite rooms. So last but not least, we're going to go over the things that I personally loathed on the ship, and there's not that many. One was the messaging within the app. I recommend that you don't even use it, that since you have Wi-Fi, use Facebook Messenger or WhatsApp or something else to communicate on the ship, because that messaging app was terrible. It was very laggy. Things were delayed, and it didn't send you notifications. So unless you were actively looking at the app, you didn't see messages. So unless you want to spend the entire time just staring at your phone at the app waiting for messages to come through if you're trying to find somebody, it's just not worth it. It's terrible. The rest of the app is good, but that messaging feature, I just don't even go and do anything with it. It's just not worth it. It's terrible. So unless they fix it, don't use it. I have not found a messaging app on any one of the cruise lines that is actually great. But this one was quite possibly one of the worst. The other thing that I really disliked, I wouldn't necessarily go loathe, but it could be a little loathsome and irritating, was the fact that when you would order things from the app, which was really convenient, and I feel like if it's implemented properly would be amazing, sometimes your drink never showed up. Sometimes it took an hour for you to get your drink, so it might be just better to go up to the bar and try and get the drink. Sometimes it just was not as great as it was. Sometimes the drinks came in like 5 minutes. It was awesome, especially when we first got on the ship and there weren't as many, or if you're at a time when you're in port and there are less people on. But if it's a sea day, just go to the bar, because ordering your drink from the app is, and getting it brought to you could be pretty difficult. They also, because they have a lot of people ordering from the app, they don't have people walking around taking drink orders. So the only real way to get a drink is to go up to the bar or to order through the app. So that was not something I liked. I feel like if they can figure that out, it will be amazing. But right now, it's not great. So just just keep that in mind when you're ordering your drink on your phone and wanting to get it sent to your beach chair, or not beach chair, but your lounger. The other thing I really, really wish that they would put on that app is the ability to order pizzas from Gigi's Pizzeria, because that pizza is so much better than the pizza that you can get on the app and the pool deck. That would be amazing, because you can't, the thing that we just didn't like is you can't take your pizza from Gigi's Pizza with you after you're done. We were they don't, you don't have no ability to just kind of bring it back to your room if you want to eat it later or anything like that, or to pick up a pizza and bring it back to your room. That would be amazing, but that is not something that they offer. So, oh well, it's little, but. So would I go on Princess again? This was our first cruise with Princess, and I think I absolutely would go on Princess again. I had a great time. My kids had a good time. Even though they didn't have all the bells and whistles, they just loved hanging out on the ship. They would play games with their grandparents. I think it is great for multi-generational trips. So if you have to please a lot of people and a lot of different interests or just restrictions and age groups, I feel like Princess is a good option because they have things for the kids to do, but they also have things for the adults and older crowd to do. So I think they did a really good job with interesting things around the ship. They had ice carving, they had demos, they had cooking demonstrations, they had different things that would appeal education wise to different groups. So I think it hits a lot of those good parts. I also think that ship, the Enchanted Princess, is really pretty well laid out. There were a couple things about the ship that, sometimes you couldn't get to sections unless you went up or down to another level. But I think overall, I definitely would go on Princess again. I think they have some really great technology, and I feel like that is setting them apart from some of the other cruise lines. And I think Royal Caribbean and Carnival, they really need to get on implementing a medallion system or something like that, because I just think that was so awesome, and it made cruising so much easier and so much more of a pleasure. So I would definitely go on it again, especially if you're booking a multi-generational trip or just want something with a little bit less kids and a little bit less chaos, because it's still a fun trip. They still have a lot of energy, but it's just not quite as chaotic as some of the other cruise lines. So if you want something a little bit more toned down, I think that Princess is a great option. Thank you guys for watching. If you have any questions, comments, want me to answer anything else, just let me know in the comments. Bye.